What's going on, guys? It's your boy Big Hero Chris back at you with another one. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, leave me a thumbs up, ring the notification bell, hit me up on Twitter, TikTok, the community posts. You already know the vibes. And I'm back at you with your AEW Dynamite review because it's Wednesday and you already know what that means. It's Thanksgiving Eve. So if you're seeing this now, tonight, or if you're seeing this after the fact, from me to yours, happy Thanksgiving, man. Enjoy it with your family, however you want to enjoy your Thanksgiving. But of course, we're here to talk about AEW Dynamite, the after show from AEW Full Gear. And I gotta say, as far as the follow-up show goes for a pay-per-view, AEW did good. They did good. They started off with a video package, recapping what went on at the pay-per-view, and the recap ended with Darby. Like, it showed Darby yelling about Jon Moxley. He was yelling at security, saying that, well, you guys are just standing by and watching Jon Moxley destroy everything. And Jon Moxley, you can't kill AEW if you're dead and you're not alive to see it happen. I'm like, okay, yeah, now we're getting somewhere. Now we got some stuff going on. And speaking of some stuff going on, we got the Continental Classic, the return of the C2, and I'm excited for the Continental Classic. My only thing is the way they kind of went about, announcing the participants in the tournament for this year. Because I was expecting like a big rollout, showing the different wrestlers. And what Tony Khan ended up doing was it was announced on Twitter like Sunday night around like 10:30. And I'm like, you really sure that's how you want to kick off this Continental Classic? I mean, we're here now, but one of the participants in the Continental Classic is a member of the Hurt Syndicate, and that's how we ultimately kicked off this episode of Dynamite. They pull up, MVP is hyping up Bobby Lashley, he's hyping up Shelton Benjamin, he's saying that they're the Michael Jordan, they're the Chicago Bulls of AEW because this episode is taking place in Chicago. And they say MVP kind of reiterates what the Hurt Syndicate is all about. He's saying that he wants to elevate the talent in AEW, and pretty much if he gives you a business card, it's your golden ticket to join the Hurt Syndicate. So you can either link up with Lashley and Benjamin and MVP, or you can end up beat up like Swerve. So the choice is yours. But we kick off with our first match between Shelton Benjamin and Mark Briscoe. And like, I'm looking up and down the for the Blue League and the Gold League, and I'm like, dang, there's so many competitors in here that could win. Honestly, I wouldn't be mad if Shelton Benjamin won the whole thing. Do I think he's gonna win the whole thing? I honestly don't know. That's good. That's a good thing. You don't really have a feed or a grasp for who's gonna win. Like last year, my pick was Eddie Kingston, and it kind of pointed to Eddie Kingston, and that's who ended up winning. Whereas this year, it's a toss-up. It could be anybody. It could be Okada. Okada could retain. It could be Will Ospreay. It could be Shelton Benjamin. Mark Briscoe, probably not. But there are so many wrestlers that could win the Continental Classic. So, and winning his first match in the C2, giving him 3 points, is Shelton Benjamin. And another thing that they said they're going to do with this year's Continental Classic is they have both the Blue League and the Gold League, both Dynamite and Collision. Whereas with last year, I think the Blue League wrestled on Dynamite and the Gold League wrestled on Collision, or however they had it. This year, you have the Blue League and the Gold League wrestling on both Dynamite and Collision. So I think that's pretty cool, and it gives you more of a reason to watch Collision because it's Collision. Who's really checking for Collision? It's a fun show, but ain't nobody really checking for Collision, so there's that. So after this, we have a segment at the top of the stage. Mercedes Moné, she has balloons out there. She has Tony Schiavone. They're pretty much celebrating how great the CEO is, even though she's getting booed out of the building. She says, "Say hello to your CEO," and she talks about her match that she had against Chris Statlander for the TBS Championship, and she praises Chris Statlander, and she says as good as Chris Statlander is, she's just not the greatest of all time like Mercedes Moné is. And she also goes on to say that, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. And then she starts looking at Camille, and it looks like Mercedes is about to fire Camille, where Camille cuts her off and says, "You can't fire me, I quit." And then she walks off on the CEO, and the crowd is chanting at Mercedes, "You deserve it." Mercedes starts screaming. She's like, "Ah!" And I'm like, I see what the point is, but ultimately, what was the point of this? Because it just seemed like it was really rushed. Like this whole, let's get Mercedes versus Camille, let's get that storyline popping, and that it seems really rushed, and it doesn't seem like it seems like it's just something just to get out the way. Like the match is probably going to happen pretty soon, and it seems like we're just going to do this just to get this out the way, because I don't know what Mercedes and Camille got going on. I don't know what Camille has going on, so I don't see her beating Mercedes for the TBS championship. So yeah. So after this, we had a match for the Ring of Honor World Championship between Chris Jericho and Tomohiro Ishii. And I'm like, man, I don't care. I don't give not one hoot about this match. And what made it even worse was it started off with a chop battle. Like they're in the middle of the ring chopping at each other, and the crowd is chanting "Fight Forever." And I'm just like, no, let's not fight forever. I just end this quick and swiftly. I just want this over with. And the match went on forever. Like it seemed like it went on forever, but yeah, Chris Jericho ended up getting the win. There was one spot where I think Chris Jericho DDT'd Ishii on the ring apron, which is the hardest part of the ring. And the way Ishii landed on his head, it looked pretty rough. Like the way he sold it, the way he bumped, that was pretty cool. Other than that, man, I did not care about this match at all. Not at all. Not one bit. Not one there. No. I don't care. Something I do care about is whose house? Swerve's house. So you go backstage, you see Renee Paquette talking to Swerve, and she's asking him like, "Yo, man, you keep losing, bro. What do you do from here?" And Swerve said, "We just gotta rebuild. We gotta build from the ground up." And as Swerve is talking, he's interrupted by that punk ass Max Caster. And Max, he's leaning into the heel role a lot more. He keeps calling himself the best wrestler alive. Swerve gave him this look like he was looking at him like the way Kendrick was looking in that in the Squabble Up video. He was like, "Okay, whatever, dude." And Max was like, "Yo, let's rap. Let's have a freestyle battle real quick." And then he started like riffing, and he mentioned a house on fire, and he said house fire, and this pissed Swerve off, and he ended up jacking up Max Caster. And then he started beating his ass. And I was legit cheering for Swerve. I was like, yeah, keep going. Like, don't stop. Because I don't care for Max Caster. I don't like him. I don't know him as a person, but he seems very unlikable. And then as a character, as a wrestler, I don't care for him. So, yeah. I do like the fact that they are leaning more into him turning heel. And it's leading up to the eventual breakup of the Acclaim. So I guess you got to take your wins where you can get them. But yeah, it's looking like we're getting a feud between Max Caster and Swerve, and I don't really know how to feel about that. But yeah, something I do feel really great about is this segment we had between Hangman, Jay White, and the Death Riders. So it started off with Hangman coming out to the ring, and he was explaining the whole Full Gear situation. And he pretty much said that him and Christian had a deal that he would help Christian beat Jon Moxley for the AEW championship. The condition being that Christian will give Hangman the first match or the first championship opportunity. And Hangman felt that he was going to beat Christian. So, Christian didn't do any of this. And Hangman is blaming Christian for everything. He says that Hangman should be AEW champion right now, but Christian screwed up. He screwed the pooch. And as Hangman is talking, he's interrupted by Jay White. And Jay White says if anybody should get a chance at the AEW championship, it should be Jay White, because he's beaten Hangman like 5 times, and every time they wrestle, Hangman just can't beat Jay White. So Jay White feels like he should have the first crack at Jon Moxley. And as they're talking, the Death Riders interrupt the both of them, and they start beating up Jay White, and Jay White's fighting back, but Hangman ends up clotheslining Jay White. And then you have the rest of the Death Riders come out, and they're beating up both Hangman and Jay White. And Pac ended up knocking this man upside the head with a briefcase that holds the AEW championship. And then Marina Shafir locked in this submission. Like, I don't know what it, like, I don't really know how to describe it, but it was kind of like she just choked him out. And Jay White just had this look on his face like, somebody please help me. And then they just ended up jumping Jay White. And I'm like, damn, what did Jay White do to make them so mad? They beat this man like they owed him money. So, yeah. It's looking like we're getting some motion between Hangman, Jay White, and Jon Moxley, and possibly Christian, you know, because Christian still has his contract. So things are looking up as far as this Death Rider thing goes. You're getting more main event caliber talent involved with the Death Riders. So, and you also had a video package highlighting World's End, and it featured the Death Riders, and Jon Moxley was holding up a flare. And normally when you're holding up a flare, you're trying to signal something or somebody. So a lot of people have been saying that Shane McMahon is the mastermind behind the Death Riders, and I've been kind of fighting against this. But with that whole vignette and that whole flare thing, I'm like, man, I hope this isn't what I think it is, because I have to eat my words. So speaking of the Death Riders, we have our next match in the Continental Classic. It is between Ricochet and Claudio Castagnoli. And one thing these two men have in common, besides being good wrestlers, is that they're both bald. And the people in the arena pointed this out. They were chanting, "This is bald, bald forever." Like, they had all these bald chants, and it was just hilarious. And you had Ricochet kind of playing up to it as well. Like, he was rubbing his head, he was yelling "bald is beautiful," and I'm like, that's cute. That's very cute. And Claudio, he wasn't participating in none of this. He was just there for the grabs. He was just there to beat up Ricochet, and he ended up winning the match. So he has 3 points in his block. So yeah, man. Bald is indeed beautiful. The Death Riders are looking stronger than ever. And I'm gonna just go ahead and just fast forward to the main event, which took place between Darby Allin and Big Brody King. And there was a part of me that was kind of nervous, because I'm like, I know they're trying to push Darby, and I hope this doesn't come as a loss to Brody King. And to my surprise, it wasn't. Like, Brody King actually won. He hit a senton to the outside on Darby Allin, which actually knocked out the feed. The audio was messed up. Like, commentary was struggling to get the audio back, so that was pretty funny. But Brody King ended up getting the win, so that surprised me. And then after the match, Claudio showed up with a steel chair, but Brody King stepped in. So it's looking like the House of Black is turning face. And then the next match for Dynamite for the C2 will be, surprise, surprise, Brody King versus Claudio Castagnoli. So pretty cool developments going on with the Death Riders. Right? They're trying to do things that's piquing your interest. Like, you know Darby's going to be involved in some way, shape, or form. And then you have the involvement of Hangman and Switchblade. So I'm digging it. Something else I'm digging is Kyle Fletcher. I'm liking the heel turn. I'm liking the way he got the big win over Will Ospreay at Full Gear. And he's saying that he's going to win the C2. So, you know, good for him. What wasn't good for any of us is this ongoing storyline between Adam Cole, MJF, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, the whole Undisputed Kingdom. Honestly, I don't care. I know I'm sounding like a broken record because I say this every time I review this stuff, but I honestly don't care. You had Adam Cole come out. He was saying that he wants to get his hands on MJF. Kyle O'Reilly comes out saying no, he wants to get his hands on MJF. And Adam's like, no, you don't have to do it for me. But Kyle's like, I don't want to do it for you. I want to do it because he beat up Roddy. So, and then you have MJF get on the big screen, and he said it's that time of year again where we have the Dynamite Dozen Diamond Ring Battle Royale, where they have the Battle Royale to see who will end up wrestling MJF for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. So, yeah. I don't care. But something that we all can care about is women's wrestling, even though we still are getting the one women's match. Another little mini tournament they have going on that's going to lead to like Wrestle Dynasty, I think, is like this little mini tournament, because you have representatives from AEW, Ring of Honor, I think CMLL and Stardom are all involved. And it's ultimately it's going to lead to like a fatal four between the 4 different promotions. So that's pretty cool. And the first match was between Queen Aminata and Jamie Hayter. And this was a pretty physical match, man. It was really doing a good job of showing it off the power of Queen Aminata. Like, you already know how strong Jamie Hayter is, but Queen Aminata is hitting power bombs and knee strikes and everything. I'm like, okay, I see you. Ultimately, Jamie Hayter ended up getting the win. And I think she's going to end up facing the winner of Serena Deeb versus Willow Nightingale, which mostly I hope it's going to be Willow. And after the match, you had the lights go out, and it looked like Julia Hart was going to pull up, but she didn't. So she's playing the mind games with Jamie Hayter. And what I see happening is Jamie Hayter is going to wrestle most likely Willow Nightingale. And Julia Hart is going to cause interference and cost her the match. You heard it here first. Speaking of matches that we have coming up, the last thing I want to talk about is the whole Mina Mariah May showdown. So you had an interview with Mina, and she's talking about how she pretty much knew Mariah May was a snake in the grass because of the way she turned on Toni Storm. She had her doubts. She was hoping and praying that this wouldn't happen, but here we are. And as she's doing her interview, she's interrupted by Mariah May. Mariah May ends up hitting her upside the head with the AEW Women's Championship, and they ended up fighting. And the match is made official at winner is coming. Mina versus Mariah May for the AEW Women's Championship, I think. And I think this is where we get the return of Toni Storm. I could be wrong. I might be wrong. I don't think I am, though. But yeah, man, this episode of Dynamite, it was an overall good episode, man. Like, we've had some pretty lackluster episodes in the past few weeks, but this one was a good one. It did a good job of continuing the stories from Full Gear, building up the C2, leading us to World's End, and, you know, whatever else is going on. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what did you think of this week's episode of Dynamite? Let me know in the comment section below. Of course, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. You guys take care. Peace. I'm out. Peace.